Hello and welcome to the first ever Harmony Music Education YouTube live chat. I'm still trying to figure all the details out on this, and hopefully, this is working. I'm not sure what I thought I had everything set up, but it's the joy of learning new technology and how everything works. So, I'm here, and what I wanted to do today is kind of talk about some of, well, a little bit about me, some of my background, so that you get to know me a little bit more. But first, before I do that, I want to tell you happy 50th anniversary. Happy birthday to Bruce Springsteen's recording career. Yes, that's right. 50 years ago today, Bruce Springsteen's first album, Greetings from Asbury Park, was released. Isn't that crazy that his career, his recording career, not even because, I mean, obviously he was around before then, but his recording career has been around for 50 years. That is an absolute milestone. So, congratulations to him. So, a little bit about me. So, I am a private music teacher in Houston, Texas, and I am married and have two children and two dogs. Yes, that's always fun. And of course, two cats, but I don't claim them because they really don't claim me very much. The dogs do, especially when it's time for food. I guess the cats do too. But anyway, I love music and I've always loved music, not only making music, but just listening to music. My dad was a pastor, and so church music was always what I grew up around. But of course, being a kid in the 80s, listening to the radio, listening to pop music, watching MTV, those were the things that were the heart and soul of my life outside of sports too. But with music, that was it. I started taking piano lessons when I was 5 years old, and I did that until I got into 7th grade, and then I switched to playing the organ and taking organ lessons, um, which was actually really cool because it's, taking the piano, or at least the techniques of playing the piano, but kind of, it's a little bit different playing the piano and the organ, but also then you get multiple keyboards to play, which create multiple sounds, and then the best part is you get to play a keyboard with your feet. Yeah, that's kinda crazy, I know, and so I'm not the most coordinated in the world, and so I somehow learned how to do that, which was awesome. And hey, Mark. Hey, glad you're checking in. Mark says I feel old now. Yeah, 50 years for Bruce Springsteen's recording career is kind of crazy, isn't it? So anyway, so I learned how to play the organ, and I did that. I've done that as a profession since I was in high school. Actually, that was my job when I was in high school, which was pretty cool. And so then I also sang, and that's what actually my degree is in, and that's my biggest passion in music is singing. So I started singing in church choir when I was in third grade, and sang through high school into college, and absolutely love working with students on voice. And actually, Mark is going to be taking voice lessons from me, so that's really exciting for him. And so, one of the things that I absolutely love is connecting people to music. And so, if you notice, not only on my Substack stream, with my podcast and all of those things that I post about, I'm all over the board, because that's just who I am musically. I love pop music. I love rock music, rap, hip hop. I'm not the biggest into metal. I'm not really the biggest into country either. Show tunes, all that stuff. I'm across the board, because music is this amazing and powerful language in and of itself that whatever style it's in, it can connect in so many amazing and powerful ways that can be not even really things that we can put into words. It's so amazing and so connecting. Doesn't matter what language you speak, music can connect us all. And so that's one of the things that I love doing with people, whether that's students learning from me, whether that's on social media, those kind of things, like the whole Bruce Springsteen thing, which, makes people feel old, and that's okay. Nothing's wrong with that at all because, at some point we do all age a little bit. But that's what I'm going to try to do is connect people with music or connect people to music. One of the things I absolutely love is history as well. And so the stories and the history of music and things relating to music, I love doing that as well to bring those out. So, one of the things that I asked if anybody had questions, and I'm not seeing any at this point, but that's okay because I wanted to dive into a little bit of the topic that I did on yesterday's podcast, which was New Year's resolutions. Yes, I know. I did a little question there at the end. But the thing is, when we're talking about resolutions, right, we probably by now might have been broken them, right? Um, but the whole idea is creating new habits. And one of the things that I think is so important, especially when it comes to music, is having those habits. And one of the things I talked about, and I think it's so important, is to be able to build those habits. And that's what happens when you start taking lessons at a young age, like I did when I was 5 years old. I hated practicing. And most students do. It's the reality of things. It's work because the playing is the fun, the practice is the work. But you've got to put in the work to be able to do the fun, right? And so when we're doing that and figuring out how to make that work enjoyable somehow, then it makes the playing even more fun. But I was so blessed with an amazing mother who would make me practice every night when she did dishes. And I asked her last summer, I said, Mom, did you do an extra rinse on the dishes? Because you seem to really take your time when you were doing dishes so that I would practice more. And she just laughed. She didn't say yes, she didn't say no, but she laughed. And of course, I took that as, yeah, of course. Because we didn't have a dishwasher, we just had a sink. And so she had to hand wash dishes. So that was one thing that helped, but it built up this discipline for me. And one of the things that's a challenge as we get older, and I'm not trying to use it as an excuse, but it is a challenge, is that as we get older, whether it's you get into middle school, you get into high school, you're an adult, whatever the case is, your schedule gets a little bit busier. And that time needed to practice because music's going to get a little bit more challenging, right? Is even more of a challenge. And so that's one of my goals for this year personally is to spend more time in practicing. Because for 18 years, I was a church musician and that was my job. And it was very easy to have that time set aside during the day to practice because Sunday's coming every week. When you're teaching lessons and you don't really have that outlet for performance, it's a little bit more difficult to find that motivation and put in that work, right? And so that's where my struggle has been. And so I'm trying to be intentional to say, all right, I'm going to set this time aside where I'm just going to pick some music and I'm going to really sit down and focus myself on it. And I'm really excited about that challenge because I think that's going to be super fun. One of the other things I'm going to be doing this year, and it's my own personal challenges as well, is to read one book about music or a performer a month. And I'm in the process of reading through Dave Grohl's book, The Storyteller. It is fantastic. I'm about halfway through it, and it is just such an interesting and insightful read. It's just been really fun. One of those that hopefully one of the things that I'll be doing with that is sharing it here on the channel as well. Just kind of sharing, not really book reviews, but just kind of sharing a little bit about that idea of what this story is about, and really if it's a great story, really encouraging you to go check it out. The other thing too along with that is to watch one music related documentary. I love documentaries. I think they're really interesting and fascinating to learn about stories. Again, I love stories behind things, and so being able to learn a little bit more about those stories and find out those things is really, really fun. So that's my goal. I've got a couple already on my list to watch that I'm really excited about finding out a little bit more about different groups and different stories. and hopefully, again, being able to share that. My fourth personal thing is kind of nebulous a little bit, but it's really one of those things that I need to do for me, which is consume more music. I know that seems really weird, right? A musician who doesn't really listen to much in the way of music. Well, so I've really enjoyed listening to podcasts, and I do have some podcasts that I listen to that are music related, but a lot of them aren't. They're just kind of fun, and I enjoy that. But I've also listened to sports talk radio. So, like I said, growing up, music and sports were kind of my two big things, and so I'm trying to push away from that. Oh, somebody's at my door. Bye.